Welcome to the inaugural podcast for Let's Sync with John McGowan. With me, I have Ross from Thoma Bravo. Ross, we did this before on your podcast, and I felt like I should reciprocate and have you on my podcast. So welcome to our first podcast. We're excited to have you on to talk a little bit about our deal again, but also talk about private equity in the tax and accounting industry. We're really excited to have you here.
Thanks, John. It's great to be here. It's an honor to kick things off here on the inaugural podcast, and I guess this is an away game in basketball speak. I guess here, but excited to be here and look forward to the discussion.
See, the last time I was in my office with UNC in the background at home, and now you're seeing me in my office at HubSync with similar background. Although we're not too excited about the UNC football program right now. But
go Heels! It's still
early. We're a man down. Unfortunately, Shane from Guys in Equity was supposed to be on, but he caught the flu. So you're going to get all the investment banking questions that I was going to ask Shane today. So I hope you're ready for that.
It's just more wisdom that I hope to depart here in the shoes to fill on Shane's side. But we'll make do.
We'll make do. We'll be fine. We miss Shane, but we'll have a lot to talk about, and we'll talk a little bit about our deal and how you worked with Guys in Equity. Let's just start there. I mean, I want to talk a little bit about your investment in HubSync. We joked around that Thoma Bravo was a little late to the party in getting started with our Series B round. I think I had a week where I had meetings from Monday to Friday, 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening, dinners and breakfasts. And you showed up on Friday afternoon as the last investor at the end of a very long week. But we had an amazing kickoff discussion, and it was great to get to know Thoma Bravo. But you were a little late versus some of the other vendors and investors that we had talked to. So I'd love to just talk about the process, why you felt there was so much conviction on the HubSync business, and kind of why you were excited about tax and accounting, because we talked a lot about that during the Series B process.
Yeah, sure. And I still remember the Friday slot that Shane gave me. When you get a Friday slot, you're immediately, on edge. And if you do this long enough, that you really want to be maybe not Monday, maybe the CEO's not super psyched up for the Monday start, but like a Tuesday afternoon slot is really prime time. So I knew I had a lot of work to do when we got Friday. The thing that I'm not sure I did tell you was that I was coming off of my family's spring break there. And so I was actually about to leave spring break to push harder for an early slot. And my wife came at me and said that would be a career limiting move to miss the tail end. So I was put in between a rock and a hard place with this timing. But it ended up working out fine because we had done a lot of work ahead of the process, as you might expect, and brought a lot of enthusiasm for the potential for technology and kind of digital adoption in the space, the potential it had, and really the key piece as we do outside in work and talk to customers and get up to speed on the space is number one, kind of the seeing eye to eye with the CEO, which is usually the founder as well. So founder CEO on how they operate the business, where they want to take the business, and what kind of partner they want. You can't get that until you look, you in the eye and start talking about it directly. And the other piece that was just really impressive, I remember spiking from our meeting, was we got a lot more granular on here's the product. Did you call it a placemat slide? On the
placemat,
slide.
The famous placemat slide, which kind of shows the entire platform end to end. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that like the website and talking to customers, you didn't get outside in a real appreciation for everything you were building and everything on the come, even that like customers weren't really aware of. And I think they're becoming more aware now of just how ambitious kind of the product strategy is. And part of the reason to take outside capital and investment in the business is to be even more ambitious on that front. So there's a lot we could talk about on how that meeting went and where we went from that meeting. But safe to say, we were leaning in very quickly after confirming those kind of key pieces on our end.
Yeah, when I debriefed with Shane, it was like 5:00 that Friday. So I thought that went well, but it was kind of like a first date. This is either going to move really, really fast and progress or not. And it went obviously in the right direction where we moved very fast. We got to know each other. And, you heard from me the things that I wanted as a founder in a partner which is not just a check. I mean, everybody can write a big check to help you grow and scale. But really what I loved about Thoma Bravo was, your experience in scaling SaaS companies like HubSync, the operating partner network that you have, just the relationships you have overall. I mean, introducing me to other portfolio companies as well has been amazing. So talk a little bit about how you work with your portfolio companies, how you bring this operating experience to bear to help companies like HubSync scale to the next level of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best way to say it is it's a team sport, right?
Yep.
This is not just one person who becomes your partner. I might have the most connectivity with you and kind of spend a lot of time on the high level strategic direction. But from there, it gets broken down very quickly in, well, how do you take strategy into action, right? And who are other team members and operational backgrounds and skill sets to bring to bear to help you as kind of the ultimate decision maker make smarter decisions, make faster decisions, and increase the velocity of the business. I always like to say, our goal is to really raise the operational output of the business. You know where you're going, the industry better than us, right? Like you are the industry and product expert here. And really what we're trying to do is bring to bear operating resources and/or been there, done that experience to help with decision making and just raising kind of the speed of outputs. And really we do that in a couple ways. One is, we've got industry, been there, done that folks, CEOs, CFOs, functional experts who can take on, everything from, very specific, let's call it, a marketing task or process to overall org and operation, people and processes. How do you think about, direct reports, organizational structures, footprint for the business, where to put resources, right? As you go from, single digit revenue into teens, into 50, into 100 and beyond, these things morph, right? And so you really want a dynamic thought partner who has seen companies at different scale, in usually similar kind of customer motions and kind of customer environments, but different scale, and then bring those resources to bear to help you, make decisions. And it's not just the folks that are internally captive to Thoma Bravo who work as operating partners. It is the portfolio, which you mentioned. And, Thoma Bravo having one of, if not the largest, portfolio focused on software, there's a lot of connectivity to provide for other folks who are kind of living the dream, so to speak, building these businesses, scaling businesses, and facing decisions like you face day in and day out. And so the combination of the breadth of the portfolio and the operating resources really differentiate us from other folks in helping, like I said before, helping you hopefully raise kind of the operational output to get where you want to go faster.
Oh, it's been apparent, and you just hit the ground running with us as well with the support and really rolling up our sleeves together, talking about growth. As you think about growth in your portfolio companies, Ross, how do you think about organic growth versus acquisitions, and which portfolio companies maybe do you look at and say we need to have a more acquisition heavy approach versus an organic growth approach? How do you think about acquisitions for some of your portfolio companies?
Yeah, that's a really great question, John. Growth is talked about a lot without really detailing what it means to certain folks, and it's almost a Rorschach test to some degree. But as we think about it, as I think about it, we want to be the both folks, right? So we want to help the company deliver transformational value to customers as fast as possible and in the best way possible. So I don't think it's an understatement to say that the best companies always are led by organic growth and always led by great product strategies, which then, is kind of the first step to building a strong organic motion to reaching customers and delivering value. That will always be the North Star for us. But that being said, we have seen many instances where if you think about, delivering value to customers and taking feedback from customers, a lot of times we hear, what, you guys are doing this or this plus, a couple other things really well. Here's what else I'm, struggling with or trying to tie into what you're doing. And it might come from, a different area of product expertise or background for the company where we look around, we pick our head up and say, to go build that internally, to come up the curve from a domain expertise perspective, it will take X amount of time.
Yep.
Well, guess what? The customers are, suffering and demanding things in real time. And so if you can go out and find, strategic technology that you can acquire, and here's the key part, integrate very tightly and closely to your existing products and not become, a Frankenstein, so to speak. That's a really interesting value prop. And again, it's not because we look at M&A just to do M&A's sake. It's hearing from customers first, where else can we deliver transformational value, and having kind of heart to heart internally of, are we the best people with the current resources, with the current domain expertise in the company? Can we solve that? Or do we need to go find that and find a really tight way to plug that into the company? So I think eventually most companies get there on a both approach. It usually is in shades of gray of when you start to bite off, a widened product strategy, wanting to do more for customers, and how mature you want to be, and where you think your own, build versus buy capabilities are on that journey.
Oh, we've done it already. I mean, as we talked, you said, what do you think you need to integrate with HubSync? We've had a great e-sign partner for a long time. It's been phenomenal, but I told you that we needed to get our own e-sign capability inside of HubSync. We went and found a vendor and we purchased it, and we're in the process of integrating it. But I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for HubSync to go try to build an e-sign capability, in my opinion. So I think we took the right approach there. We found a great vendor, and we're in the process of integrating that new technology in HubSync as we speak. So it worked really, really well.
That's the pragmatism that I think, coming back to, like, how do you lean in and how do you get comfortable on an operating philosophy and kind of building a partnership. I think that's a great example of, as we laid out a very aggressive product roadmap, we also had your support and your leadership on, but here's a couple of things that don't make sense for me to take, energy and resources, et cetera, to go do ourselves. And there's really easy ways to buy a really targeted piece of product and technology for us to plug in quickly. So once again, just great to think that way and have a partner who thinks that way.
Well, I mean, we're excited about it, and we really appreciate your support on that first acquisition. It's going to be really beneficial to our clients and to the platform. Let's move maybe a step out, from HubSync. As we went through the Series B process and talked to a lot of different investors, it seemed like the investment community is kind of waking up that tax and accounting is an industry with a lot of opportunity. I think that investors have been focused on legal and other verticals. But as I was talking to different investors, they see a massive opportunity around tax and accounting, and the manual processes and some of the things that an old technology that people are dealing with now. As Thoma Bravo looks at tax and accounting in the industry, what excites you about the opportunity in this vertical?
Yeah, it's a number of things. You touched on some of them. Number one, you always want to be investing behind an ability to deliver strong and kind of transformative value, right? And you see the opportunity to do so when the folks that you're selling to, with the products you're selling to, are doing mission critical things for their customers. And usually able to charge, significant amount for that and become big businesses themselves. And so right away, you have kind of a category that checks those boxes of, doing mission critical things for their customers, whether it's individuals or corporations, and building really big businesses behind that. So that's, an area number one where you say, okay, if I'm able to participate in delivering value like they are, there's good economics there, or they should be. Now you contrast that with, well, where are they or different industries on their adoption of digital technology, and how far are they as they think about delivering value for their customers in adopting digital tools and, digital workflow tools and intelligence tools, et cetera, to augment their own value prop. And that's where, tax and accounting, I think, is behind some other industries. And usually when things are behind, it means that it's harder to change. And it comes back to, well, it's because they're doing really critical stuff that they don't want to mess up. But there is just so much more opportunity in, the windshield, so to speak, versus the rearview mirror in this category. And that's really what has, not just ourselves, but a lot of investor enthusiasm in general around trying to help, CPAs and accountancies and tax and accounting folks use more digital tools to deliver even stronger value for their customers. And there's a lot of ands here, but one more and is transform their own businesses, right?
Yeah.
So like there's a duplicative effect as we think about what, benefit, digital tools and AI bring to this category of not just doing more for your customers, but how you actually run and operate your own businesses and the efficiency and profitability and customer engagement that you can see, et cetera. So we really think this is a unique category that is a great category from an economic perspective, and one that sees a ton of opportunity still ahead for digital solutions like you're providing and HubSync is providing.
Well, it's funny when we were talking about the opportunity in this industry, you were asking about the competitive landscape, and there's obviously competitors out there and point solutions, and there's been a lot of technology companies like CCH and Thompson that have been in this industry for a long time. But I said, really, the biggest competitor is status quo, and getting these firms to actually take that digital transformation step. They're, like you said, they're busy. There's so much going on in terms of managing their book of business. There's a lot of change happening inside these firms with ERPs and CRMs changing, et cetera. But getting them to focus on this digital transformation, not only to help automate the firm internally, but I also heard loud and clear during the Series B process, as people were coming in to talk to me about HubSync, they sort of complained about their own experience with their CPA firm. And I think you shared some of your frustration around the different tools and processes that you need to use to interact with your CPA. And I heard that consistently during the Series B process, that people are frustrated with the experience with their CPA firms and want a more modern Amazon-like experience.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Being an investor, sometimes I think about investors that maybe invest in like consumer products, right? You get to go out and taste the chip and you're like, wow, that's a really great chip. They're onto something here. Yeah. I feel it. It's tangible. I can judge it myself, and I want to have that informed decision. When you invest in enterprise software, it's not always the case that you can be like the end consumer of it and really get a firsthand experience. You're talking to customers and doing calls and stuff. Here, I remember joking about it. You just sit back and you say, who enjoys the process of the tax preparation? And it's broken in so many ways that for better or for worse, all of us around the table have felt. And so it's very easy to understand the opportunity when you go through your own tax prep and have, breakage in communication, breakage in data, and just a kind of a prehistoric process. Right. And the funny thing too is, the folks who I work with at least kind of admit it. And they are also, the practitioners themselves are, it's not like they're defending the process. They're actually super interested in changing that for me, for us, being the customers and making their lives easier as well. And so I think that's all the more reason why, as you think about how you've laid out your product strategy and bringing all of that into one place, there's a really interesting opportunity for kind of transformational value.
100% agree. I mean, you touched on one thing, Ross, earlier, and I want to maybe double click on it, just the industry and this trend of private equity investing in CPA firms. And you and I have talked about all the different Parthenon and others who've invested in firms. And interestingly, there was an article on BDO this morning where they don't want to take external investment, but this is a big trend. You're in private equity. Love to get your take on why these firms are investing. I think I know why. And where you see this going in terms of, we're seeing a lot more mega mergers of large firms coming together. We have Anderson is getting ready to do an IPO. I'd love to just get your take on private equity infusion in this industry and where you see it going.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, private equity done well is always about trying to improve operations, right? Theoretically, that's not just profit driven. That's like actually a better value prop for customers and translating into growth and potentially future profitability as well. But therein lies the search for, well, where is there an opportunity to improve those experiences? Where is there an opportunity to kind of improve operations? And we just talked about how the category has just been known for a very rough, if not terrible, individual experience, no matter if you're on the corporate side or personal side, right? So private equity has really woken up to, there's a prehistoric process here. There's a lot of disgruntled consumers, and end users here. What can we do about it? And I think that realization of the opportunity might have existed for a while. Like, that's not inherently new. Like, the pain in the tax preparation process didn't show up yesterday or like last week.
Right.
What has changed is folks like yourself building really great tools to drive digital processes, which unlock, both of the benefits I mentioned before, which is more value for customers and increased operational capacity and efficiency internally as well, to make their own folks and services better and more efficient. So the intersection of those two has really spurred just a tremendous outpouring of private equity into tax and accounting. And that's a really great tailwind for you and I, serving those folks. And I know a lot of them, personally, who are leading these investments in the space. And, I would say almost everyone comes with a thesis around driving transformation led by, digital solutions and digital solutions now, including AI. And, we mentioned the process before, and you move quick in a process, you have conviction in a process, of course, but then you got to deliver on it. And I can tell you, we're kind of in that phase right now where a lot of these deals got done. They have the same investment theses. And now it's, oh, shoot, how do I actually do this? How do I actually drive digital adoption and transformation in these organizations? And again, that's like a great point to meet them in this moment with the technology and AI that HubSync is building and you have experience with. So this trend, is not it's not going away, and the pressure as you move from the wave of private equity entering the category to then having to show operational improvements and then think about exits. Again, we're decently early in here. We're not in '89, right? So we're transitioning to the, oh shoot, I better infuse operating improvements and digital adoption to drive that. And then come the pressure for the exits. And a lot of them are going to look to build scale and get to be IPO, ready, so to speak, by having, the growth, the profits, and the scale to show market leadership and attract public capital for an IPO. So there's just no shortage of focus, attention, and urgency from the private equity industry to make good on these investments, deliver for their businesses, and then ultimately chart that path to IPO to realize, a successful, event for everybody.
We're excited about the trend as we've worked with firms that have taken private equity investment. I mean, we really feel the HubSync platform is tailor-made exactly for what they want. They want these firms to be using modern digital platforms, automating tasks. Our engagement letter tool has been kind of a boon in terms of reporting for private equity as well. And as we talked about, just creating this modern client experience. So we're excited about the trend, and the firms that we're working with really are leaning harder on the HubSync platform because of the private equity investment and some of the expectations that are being driven, I think, in a really positive way.
Do you touched upon any hangups that, again, like talking to someone who's out of the private equity industry, being in it myself, like, are there things that worry you about this wave and like what could go wrong?
I think the large mergers, which is happening with some of the firms that we're working with now, we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to. We have one large merger with a large HubSync client and another firm that wasn't using HubSync as much. We see that actually as a great opportunity, but the amount of work that we're going to have to do to help that newly merged firm, and there's another acquisition that just happened of a HubSync client as well. And so, this merger activity and us helping our clients through this process, we're literally developing, a 12-month plan for one of our clients on how we onboard the new firm into the platform. So, there's a lot of opportunity around it, but as these bigger mergers happen, Ross, there's going to be a lot of work. And, a lot of these firms, as this happens, they really have to put pause on a lot of things. Just the technology between the two firms are often very, very different. So these merger activities in terms of getting a merged firm and the vision that the private equity firm that invested wants is usually a multi-year journey.
Yeah. It's helpful to hear kind of from the inside, because you're right. I see your company being very proactive on, hey, how do you be successful when it comes to mergers, and how do we get ahead of things that they should be thinking about? And I think back to some of the conversations I've had with your customers is, John in particular, but HubSync as well, is really a thought partner for how to get this stuff right. And in the room as they are contemplating XYZ approach to these mergers. And so you guys have a front row seat to that, which is well deserved and very interesting for me to follow along on.
Yeah, I mean, we had an 8-hour workshop with this firm 2 weeks ago to really plan out what does the next 2 to 3 years look like. So you have to partner, you have to be that consultative partner, and you have to work with them on their technology strategy and integration. It's exciting. The opportunity is amazing. I want to hit one thing. We can't have a podcast. You mentioned it without talking about AI. So give me your thoughts on not just the tax and accounting industry, but I'm sure Thoma Bravo is just seeing so much activity and so many portfolio companies that are doing innovative things with AI. I'd love to get Thoma Bravo's take on how fast this area is moving and the opportunity that you see.
Well, it's moving tremendously fast. Like, it's moving at light speed. The thing that we focus on is amidst all of this hyper movement, and I think we've never seen this technology, call it blanket term AI. We've never seen a technology adopted as fast as we're seeing now, and the willingness for companies large and small to say, I need to try this out. They don't know all the time like what they want and like what they need to try out, but there isn't a boardroom in America that is not talking to their CEO about, we need to use AI and leverage it, right, for kind of the greater good. And so what we are really trying to follow is where are, very sticky, long-lasting, transformational business impacts being made from this versus experimental adoption in kind of surface level use cases, right? Like summarizing a transcript, is not the same value prop as augmenting, better data into a critical, customer value prop and allowing, your answer to be 2x better, 2x faster for your customer. And so there's just a myriad of ways that AI is infusing itself into, the customer workflow. But not all of those are created equal, and not all of those are going to kind of stick around in their current use case. So, that's really something that we pay attention to and watch. But for us, there's really an incredible opportunity that we see, and we are big believers in the impact that AI is going to have. And again, it comes down, where we see a lot of opportunity is helping our, existing value props. And because we invest in software companies, like, we're already usually helping, customers get smarter or do more things, right, with either workflow or intelligence. And the intelligence element is really augmented by AI, and the ability to infuse what might be a static kind of rules-based workflow with more dynamic information and adaptability and, processing speed is really incredible. And we love that. We see so many kind of latent workflows moving from needing check-ins, needing rules-based, methodology, or only harnessing a portion of data which was easily infused in that process, to being so much faster, so much more dynamic, so much more proactive when it comes to agents and AI actually, taking steps on its own. And of course, the ability to infuse just more data and more intelligence into all of these workflows. And so this is absolutely a must-have, and it's a need to be out in front if you are a software company, to leverage AI to do exactly that and deliver more value faster in a more dynamic way for your customers and to make their lives easier. Beyond that, there's also, questions around, well, what does it do for your organization, right? There's product and, impacts for your products and your customers. Then there's just ways that you operate your business. We're also thinking about how you just infuse more intelligence and pace and efficiency into your own organization on customer support or, product development, et cetera. So there's kind of two sides of how you make yourself better for your customers and how you make yourself better internally. So there's a lot of, there's a big knowledge hill to climb on both ends of that. And I don't think anybody at this point has, become the be on all expert on that. There's just so much experimentation. And our goal in the node that we sit in as kind of connective tissue for our customers, or, in our portfolio companies, is gathering as much of what's working, what's not, and sharing that and kind of transmitting that and trying to build more intelligence around this approach or that approach or this type of breakthrough, et cetera.
Well, what we're doing with it, and as we show the capabilities and injecting AI into HubSync, I mean, the eyes that we're lighting up during some of the recent workshops. We had 2 AI workshops with clients over the last couple of weeks, and just to see the reaction and the value add that they see in the things that we're doing, it's exciting. I mean, this area is going to continue to move quickly, and we're all over it at HubSync.
Yeah, we're no different, right? In our boardroom, we're talking about AI just like everybody else. But I think this comes back to product leadership, domain expertise, and AI really infuses the strengths that you have in terms of making your software and value prop better for your customers. And I'm really excited with what you're building and the approach you're taking to infuse our own product set with AI.
More to come there. We got to close it out. We had a quick lightning round questions. You ready for a few lightning round questions to close it out?
Blitzkrieg. All right.
Good.
Handle it.
Best business advice you've ever received, Ross?
There's a lot. I'm open to every day to learn more, but I can't think of a better one than really appreciating in business. So much of this is driving great relationships, building great relationships, fostering great relationships, and understanding the importance of great relationships. And I can't think of a stage in my career where I haven't come away with relationships that are still helpful to me, still impactful to whatever I'm doing in the latest iteration of my career. And it's just is so transferable. Even if you think I invest in software companies, well, guess what? The relationship that you and I have is the most important thing connecting Thoma Bravo and connecting our firm to your firm, HubSync, right? And so whether you're selling, whether you're building, whether you want to be an investor, whether you want to be an operator, relationships just find a way to almost be the be all end all to be successful.
100% agree. Second question, career regrets, deals that you missed out on. Love to hear, as you look back, anything you would have done differently.
Yeah, there's, another firm kind of labels their deals that they miss like the anti-portfolio, and like, man, is that a really good portfolio? As you think about you have the chance to invest in, Shopify, you had chance to invest in Stripe. There's been some opportunities that we could have our own, podcast on of like
deals.
Did you think Uber's, TAM size was going to be this or that? And, what made you say no to that? Well, a lot got in the way of some interesting decision making. But look, I've been fortunate enough to be part of some great investments where I don't spend too much time thinking about that. But there's always the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. And then, personally, regrets. I try not to live with regrets, but it's funny. A lot of folks, more junior folks on my team, they get to a point where they're always talking about business school and like, should I go? And like, how valuable is that? And I always tell people, like, if you get to be, older, I can't think of a single person, one of my friends who's, regret that decision. Right. And that seemed to be a good time. I didn't go to business school personally. There was like so much going on in software at that point in my career for me. I just kept my head down and like, man, we got to do as much software deals as possible. But sure, have I thought at that point, should have gotten off this treadmill at any point? But it's been a great treadmill, and it just keeps going faster and faster.
We're excited to be working with you. We're at time now, but it's great talking to you, Ross. I mean, you've been an amazing partner. Your insights on this podcast have been phenomenal. I hope our listeners are learning a lot. We're excited about working with you and working with your firm and all the operating partners to really help this industry. So it's been an exciting partnership. Really, really appreciate your time, Ross, and all the insights that you shared on this podcast.
Well, it's great to be part of the inaugural podcast, as I mentioned before. It's a great honor, and it's always great to catch up with you, John. I know that we talk daily anyway, so doing it,
we do this every
better
day,
writing.
right?
Yeah, and a trumped up background here is not too hard to just continue our daily conversations. But I think that's what speaks to the kind of partnership we have and why I'm so enthusiastic about working with you and the broader HubSync team. So excited for what's to come. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ross.